Welcome to Give Your Wall Some Soul. Boy, I'm glad you're here today. I'm Shannon Grissom, and today what we're going to do is a wild abstract. I have no idea what this thing is going to look like when we're done. It's a case of just allowing your inner self to come in and come out on the canvas as opposed to trying to make something structural. For those of you who really like to see things that are three-dimensional and representational, I'll probably go back to that next week, but every once in a while I've just got to get down and throw some paint on the canvas. I think the best analogy that I have for this particular painting, I love playing gypsy folk songs on the piano, and hopefully the music, you'll be able to hear the music in the background as I'm painting. And partway through the program I can hear you saying, no, I don't hear any music. That's because if I play it for you, there'll be little for the imagination, so hopefully it'll come up in your head as I'm painting. So somebody said, when you start an abstract, what are you going to start with? Where are you going to go? Well, you can do, there's a number of different ways to do it. You can take something and really blow it up out of proportion, and so it loses all its context, and you can't see where it is in relation to space, and that would make something abstract. But this is totally, I'm going to paint the energy that I have today. And as you can see, I'm pretty wired, so it's going to be something else. Okay, where do you start? Well, when all else fails, red is really a good way to start. And no, not a subdued red, but let's throw some red on the canvas. Woo. Love that noise. Now, I'm hoping that you're looking at this and saying, I can do that. Well, you sure can. So get off the couch, grab a brush, and paint with me today. Now, what happens when you start to put something down? It has a sense of space that I'll start paying attention to. I don't want it to be all red, so I think I'll go ahead and grab some ochre while I'm here. Yeah, that's nice. Although I need some more of this medium. We're going to use a lot of that today. I'm going to use lots of different layers and actually complete the painting in one setting. Normally, I clean my brushes in between, but that's just not happening today. Oh, that's nice. Love the way things are moving in here. Tons and tons of color. Now, years ago, I would have sat there and looked and tried to find all the little shapes, and I've had people see all kinds of weird things in my paintings. So little shapes will start to emerge. Go for it, whatever you see. I don't name my abstract paintings because I think they're usually called symphony and something, because that takes away from it. People have their own idea of what they're seeing in the painting. Kind of like if you talk to somebody, in work, you talk to people over the phone for a long period of time. You may talk to them for months. They're in a different state. And then when you actually meet them, their voice doesn't usually match the picture that you have in your head. So I want people to have their own picture, and I'm not going to wreck it by imposing my title on it. Now, this is kind of the opposite of some of the Hungarian folk tunes that I do, because they usually start off slow and melancholy and get really fast in the middle and slow at the end. But I'm doing it backwards. Yeah, I like this energy that's happening here. Before you know it, I'll forget to put the lid on. That'll be all over the studio. Okay. Let's see. Maybe I'll put some green down below. Grab a knife. You'll notice my palette's totally different than normal. Everything's warm. Not that I don't use warm colors normally, But everything is warm, and I even have some metallic golds. You know, when you're starting something like this and you don't know where to start and it seems intimidating, you're not making it look like anything, so don't worry about it. You know, I mean, if it helps you to lose your fear to just stand there and kind of go, you know, backwards, that's where I start, then go ahead and do that. That way you'll get something going. Just get it down. I really like that green. That's happy. You'll notice that I'm using a lot of transparent colors, and I'm intensifying the effect, if that's not enough, because everything's turbocharged today by thinning it down with a lot of medium. So I'm using a big brush and really scrubbing this in first. What do I want to do? I don't want it to be top heavy, so I'm going to go ahead and add some more red to the bottom. You know, there's a fine line between just putting your emotions down, but also being conscious of what is going to make a good painting. Because although it looks like I'm just slapping this stuff on, in some cases I am, I'm also considering what shapes I'm putting in. Like any painting, you need to have form, some sort of space. Well, I should back up there. Not everybody needs form like I do. So that's a personal preference. But definitely use of space, rhythm. The rhythm here, if you know anything about music, this is cut time. This is a hard-driving, fast piece. What key is it? Oh, it's probably a major key with some minor passages, just to keep it interesting. And you know what? I'm going to get down here and I'm just going to turn the painting upside down to work on the top. And also so I don't get stuck in that mode. That's pretty cool. Okay. Maybe some more green. I just got this green, so I don't know how it behaves. When you try a new color for the first time, and we've talked about this before, I always like to try new recipes on company, and I try new colors on you guys. So you don't know how, you know, like a new person you've met, you don't know how they behave. Well, a new color, you don't know how it's going to behave either. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen. Okay, I got the canvas covered. Now you can do two things. It's really more blended here. I like that stream of yellow stuff, greenish yellow stuff going. I'm going to add some more. Lost my whole train of thought. A lot of little S's going in here. That's unconscious. Not just signing my name all over it. Okay, so on a wild day, I would probably leave a lot of the texture. Ooh, I would leave a lot of the texture. I sit there and look in the mirror at this and go, I was tempted to blend it. And I think that would hurt it because it's just that's just really what's happening inside. In this kind of a painting, my objective is to actually get what's inside transferred onto the canvas so that the energy that I have inside is actually turned into an entity of its own. And I do that too in representational pieces, but I think in some ways these are more honest because I'm not worried about whether it's going to look like anything. I'm more worried about expressing the emotion. Okay, so that's awesome. I like it when that happens. Okay. So where do I go from here? I want some depth. I like the illusion of space. How am I going to get some depth in here? Well, this is where we start adding some cooler color, just slightly cooler. Now, you know, reds are typically considered hot, but I did put one cool red on my palette just to get a little bit of depth in there. You'll notice that if you look at my palette, they're all warm colors, except for this, well, the purple and the phthalo blue, or phthalo turquoise on the end. Everything's warm. The colors were inspired. There's this wonderful mask maker in Hollister, California named Carla Almanza. And all the colors that are on my palette today are inspired by this mask that I purchased from her. And I sit there and look at the colors and it makes me happy. So I thought no matter what I did with those, if I put those on the canvas, it would be gorgeous. So you do need, though, a little resting place. And I'm gonna just throw some dark down. Ooh, that's nice. Really rich. It's kind of like I'm conducting on this canvas. I don't know what kind of shape I'm making. When I'm painting by myself, I mean, there are things that you don't see on the show. When I'm painting by myself, you can go through the whole range of emotion. I can be happy with what I'm doing. I can be frustrated with what I'm doing. Sometimes things happen that I didn't plan. I mean, I'm just painting. I step back and look at it, and I'm so overwhelmed that they came out. They bring me such joy that it actually will make me cry. I don't usually allow myself to get that wound up on TV. So that's a part of the process that doesn't usually get shown. But hopefully you can see some of the emotion just in what's coming out here. Now, there's a tendency to just kind of put this all over and make a little space. Oh, that kind of looks like eyes and a nose. You know, to try to make something out of this. I really don't want to do that. I want to stay away from making something, although wouldn't that be interesting if it came out to be one of her little masks? Anyway, it's too early to commit to that. So I'm going to add a little red there. I think that's enough of that cool red. Maybe I'll add a cool green. I'm not cleaning my brush. Everything's contaminated. Let's add some green. Ooh, nice. Got to have them happy neighbors next to each other. Maybe just all the way through that. Whew. Okay, so now it's more of a balance of, boy, that thing's just kind of exploding. And, you know, when I look in the mirror to see where I'm at, on an intellectual level, I really liked it better before I put that huge green thing. When you get up close, it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to see what I can do with that. Maybe I do need a cleaner brush. Okay. And you know, there's always, when you don't like something, the magic paper towel. You know what? If you do it all over, it kind of adds some wild texture too. I'm making mud. I need to put more gold down. Gold solves a lot of stuff too. Okay. So are you brave enough to try this at home? I mean, come on. I know you've been thinking about painting. I know you've been thinking about doing it. I've talked to a lot of people who have been inspired. They're getting their rooms ready. They're getting ready to paint. They're not sure what to paint. Let's just get a canvas and start throwing some color on it. Definitely use some more liquid. I'm going to get some lighter colors because it got just a little too heavy there. My mood is not that heavy. Oh, that's nice. Okay. This is a more opaque color, which is great for a later layering. Love how you can see all this stuff underneath. I wasn't intending to go this gold when I started out, but I'm liking what's happening here. Normally, when you're playing a piece of music, you've got areas that crescendo, areas that are pianissimo. You've got some forte areas. And right now, my whole painting is loud. And it's fast. That's just what's happening today. We'll see if we can have some restful places at the end. Right now, we're not there. Throw some yellow in between. I still need to get rid of that one spot. I'll bet no matter when this show is aired, you can tell what time of year it is by the colors that are out here. There. See, when you just start putting things down on the canvas like this, and you walk away, all of a sudden things start to emerge. It's really nice. Things I couldn't have planned. I mean, I come back some days and look at things that I did and say, there's no way I could have done that. And then, then there are other days where I know I did, and it makes me tired. Yep, like that. So normally I put layers and layers over dry paint, over dry layers. Today we're not doing that, so we're getting a whole different effect. And it's almost like you've got this, instead of a black hole, you're getting like this reddish hole with gold on the outside. I think I'm going to kind of go with that. I didn't plan it, but I like what's happening. That's a good exercise in just seeing what happens. Yeah, that's good. It's almost like a fiery sea. It's really kind of warm in the studio, so this is going to kind of set up pretty fast, even though it's oils, because I'm using a lot of medium. So this would be a good time to focus in and just let it sit for a second and focus in on the painting that I did last month. And we can talk about that for a minute, just for a second, while it's starting to set up. So if we look at the painting that I did last month and really focus in on her face, you get an idea of where that blue lady went. So let's see how close we can get in on her face. This was the lady that I threw blue, red all over her face. And she really started off in a squirrely, you know, I think I shocked the camera crew. I shocked a lot of people when I threw the red over her face last time. And so I never did succeed in making her a happy person, but she came into a more formal she's still a study, but she came to a more completed study than she was. What did I do? Well, I kept throwing, what else? More red over the top of her, but you can still see a lot of the blue in the underpainting. And I think that was a good way to you know, in the background, there's still a lot of blue and purple. There was nothing I could do about that. As I tried to make her more vibrant, more subdued, and this is a case where the painting was just saying, no, I am more cool, I am more laid back, and you gotta let me go with that. So that's what I did. And she looks similar to the blue lady that we started, and it's the same painting. I just painted over the top of her. And I could take her further and work on her some more and take her to a final state, but I was done with her. I didn't feel like working on her anymore. And I think if you don't have trouble finishing paintings and you're consistent and you're always getting paintings done, then to leave one in a half-done state, it's okay. You know, it's like, you know what, that was all I needed to say about her. So that's where we went with her. Well, I think this has started to set up a lot. Yeah. That's nice. Okay, so I love the colors here. Oh, they're just so vibrant. And I think it can always use some more red, so that's where I'm going with this. More in the middle. And I actually do have some sort of plan, even though it doesn't. Oh, that's nice. See, now see how much nicer that is in that cold red? And you know, it's funny because I've been getting a lot of emails about the show, and somebody said, well, how about, you know, every time you make something light, you always use a warm color. How about doing something in all cool colors? And I emailed back, honestly, I don't think I can. You know, the name of the show is Give Your Wall Some Soul, and it would actually hurt my soul to paint something that cold. It's just not my sensibility. Now, there are other people that do wonderful, wonderful paintings with cool colors, and that's what makes them feel good, but it would just hurt. And so I know it wouldn't come out very good, and so no, I don't think I actually could. However, any of these demonstrations, you could try them with all cool colors, because there are some people that will look at this and they don't like it. So if those colors are not happy for you, go ahead and try cooler colors. I'm just telling you what works for me and makes me feel better. Yeah, that's better. I really like that red. Now, you know, notice the relationship between this cool red. It makes this red more vibrant, so it's nice to have those little bits of cool red, and I'll throw some more in later, but I just thought I had too much there. Let's see. I like this fiery thing that's happening. Wow. Wow, man. that is red. I still see these little faces popping up, and it's exploding more. Now it kind of looks like fireworks. Let's go out to the edges just a little bit, add some continuity, and maybe get off the red just for a minute. It's kind of like when I'm playing the piano, my instructor used to tell me to get off the pedal. You're just staying there too long. Whew, I think some broad strokes would help too. Oh yeah. I've noticed that I'm doing a lot of S shapes, and it's not because of my name. I think it's just more of an organic thing. Maybe it's subconscious. Ooh, like that. Okay, this close, you know, you see me like leaning back from it. It's got this huge energy going on. Unless I look in the mirror, I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take a look, step back from it, take a look. Wow, it's got this kind of line going there. I still need to come out to the edges. And maybe it needs a little bit of cooling off in just a couple places, but not much. I don't want to psst it. I want it to be warm and happy. Okay, maybe some green for balance here, but not that dark green. Oh yeah, that's happy. See, now this is one of those things where I really like, I didn't do this on purpose, but it had a nice little double stroke thing that happened here, and that's cool. I like that when it happens. As hard as I am on myself when things don't work, I'm also, I'm a good cheerleader for myself. And you gotta be, you're working by yourself all day long. Okay. And you know, when you do this for a living, it's feast or famine. You'll have months where you sell a lot, and sometimes you don't sell many, and it goes, you gotta just really love the process and love what you do to get to the point where you have a whole room full of canvases and you still pick up the brush every day. But it's cyclical, and then they go, and then you need to do another huge batch. Okay, that's getting there. I think I need a big, more red. I can still hear my friend Dave. Nothing that a chainsaw wouldn't fix. Maybe it's time, I was going to say, maybe it's time to get out the knife, but I think it's a little early for that. I mean the palette knife. I'm not going to cut the canvas. We're not going to do a smash the guitar thing. Maybe not today. Although you know, when they're bad, I throw them out. I don't know if I ever told you about the story about I had this painting that was really, really bad. And so my husband was going to the dump, and I said, I want to go with you. Well, I never want to go to the dump, but so he indulged me, and I grabbed these two canvases, and I took them with me, and we got, got in the back of the pickup, and I threw them like frisbees. And it was just very liberating because they were bad, nasty, bad paintings. And so then we get to the bottom of the hill, I wouldn't let him leave. And he says, what? And I said, nope, I gotta wait till the bulldozer gets them. I want to make sure they're dead. I want to make sure that they can't come back and get me. And there's a dump in Los Gatos called Guadalupe. So any paintings that are really bad, I used to say they were in the Guadalupe collection. Now that I've moved, any of my bad paintings go to the John Smith collection. It sounds so much better than just throwing them away. Okay, that's got more balance. You know, paintings have a rhythm too. You can't have a song that's just, like this and then kind of, and just, like a bad drummer. And you don't want that to happen on your painting. So I'm taking a look at this and going, okay, is this like missing a piston or is it really firing together? And actually right now, it's more cohesive than it's been through most of the show. It's actually got a better rhythm. And rather than a traditional rhythm, it's more of a single explosion. That's what this one is. Okay. So where do we go from here? Now, there are some people that you could leave it just like this and it would be fine. But I can't leave it alone. I think I would add some green to it. And before the end of the show, I just got these brand new gold metallic paints, and I got to play with them. So by the end of the show, I'm going to throw some gold metallic stuff over the top of it too. But it's too early to do that, because if I do that now, that might wreck it. So right now, I think I want to add some depth. If you think about value, it's all the same value. And I mean, as far as lightness and darkness, it's all about the same. If you look at the color of my shirt, which is black, compared to the canvas, black is the darkest, and the canvas is in mid-range, and well, my skin's pretty white, so that would be the lightest. And so you can see that everything's more of a mid-value. I need to add some spice to that, so I want to add a little bit darker and a little bit lighter, and we'll see where it goes. Okay. I keep going to the reds. You know, it might be good to add another color. You know what they say, the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting different results. That's what I was doing, going back in the red. Well, I have to, though. I'm going to do it a little bit and then see, and then try not to blend it. Well, actually, try is a bad word, because that certainly implies failure. But I will just put it down and not blend it. And I'll also move in different spots. You know what? That's what I should do. Just turn the canvas upside down again, or sideways. You can't tell with the square which way it's going. That's an idea. Oh, don't you wish you heard what was in my head? What I was thinking is, a fun thing about a square is, there are times when I like to work on a square format when I'm doing a single object, which I do a lot of single objects, but I like the square format for the interstitial space that's around it. But what would be cool is to make this square appear not a square. So how can you do that? With some sort of border. And I don't want an equal border. So I thought about doing something linear right here. But God, this is so explosive. This is where the thought process goes in. This is so explosive. I don't know if I want to break up this energy with something not linear. So until I figure that out, because I haven't, I will just put down more color. And I need to throw in some purple, add some really darks, and I'm going to keep a contaminated brush. I'll keep my colors pure, but the brush will be contaminated. I'm not doing any mixing on the palette, really. I'm doing it all on the canvas. I used to mix every single color painstakingly and match it before I put it down. This suits my personality better. Okay, that's going to be dark. Where do we want it dark? That's kind of muddy. Mud's okay as long as there's not a lot of it. You need mud for the bright colors to sing. They don't call it mud. Technically, they call it neutral. But I'm not they. Okay. Maybe I need to just throw in some, get the palette knife out, throw in some greens over the top of this. I'm still not doing anything to change the values, am I? Ooh, that was cool until I just put one extra stroke, and then I don't like it now. But for just a second, it was perfect. That's okay. Now that's interesting because everything's going in this direction. You have something bringing it back. One thing about a painting is that you do need to be, there we go. You do need to be a director and tell people where to look. If you have things going off the canvas like this, then you're telling people to go look somewhere else. So that's great if you shoot them in this direction, but all of your stuff needs to point back so that it comes back to your center of interest. And so, I mean, if you look in a lot of my paintings, they're actually almost like arrow strokes saying, here, look here, no, now go like here. It's like the director of a TV show picks the camera shots, when you're doing a painting, you choose where you want the viewer to look. A good thing with that is that if you have an area of a painting that you're just not thrilled with, and you can't seem to get it past that point, then you direct people to look somewhere else. And it's like, make that not the center of interest. Okay, so I think it was a little too early in the show to be putting the knife down, so I'm going to still add some more color, although I'll get a cleaner brush. Maybe a little smaller brush, a filbert. Filbert would be good. Because everything I was doing was a unified shape. Now, I could add some white in here, but that's going to kind of dull things down, but I'll try it. We'll see what happens. If I don't like it, I'll stop. The worst that could happen is that it comes out bad, and now today this could come out bad and I'd save it and work on it at home in the studio because my energy in it is not negative. If I were to work on something and get really frustrated and I develop an attitude toward the painting, that's when I throw them out because I don't think that I can paint over my bad attitude. I really think it infects the painting. So this one though, even if it doesn't, I'm pretty cheerful about it, so it's going to be fine, no matter what I do to it. And how liberating that is. Okay, where do I want light? That is pretty muddy. Too early to judge, though. Kind of looks like Bird of Paradise for a second. Let's try making it not. Yeah, I was gonna change the shape of this, and I decided not. I like how this is kind of drawing into this little circular thing. I like the fact that you've got a little explosion here, something going on there. So this is where you've got a lot of stuff going on, but then this also draws you back into the canvas. Maybe we'll have a little. God, isn't there a cartoon that has little strokes like this and then little squigglies? I'm trying to think of which one that is. It'll come to me. And so that's going there and it stops there, but yet you've got some strokes going here, so that's pushing you back up. You can almost just put an arrow, go here, go back that way. Throw some yellow down. This is a yellow day. Too much. Maybe I need to throw the red back in. I also need to put some more out on my canvas. You know, I could try a transparent yellow. Let's try that. I don't know if I ever told you how they used to make Indian yellow. It's pretty gross. Anyway, they don't do that now. I don't know if I could say. I guess I could say that on TV. See what I started? Indian yellow used to be made with cow urine, and they would feed the cows. I don't even want to go into it, but anyway, they would feed the cows to produce this particular. I'm not making this up. You ought to see the camera people here. They would feed the cows particular type of food so that they would create this urine, and it was really cruel, and that's how they created this color. Now this is a synthetic Indian yellow. There's one company in particular in Seattle that just makes this incredible color, and it's one of my favorite yellows to have. Very transparent, and of course it's vibrant. It's a knock your socks off. You're not going to go by this painting and not see it. Okay. And you can put it right over colors and still see other things underneath because it is so transparent. That was redundant. I knew that. Okay. All right, so that's explosive little rainbow thing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and blend all that out because that's not where I want the final thing to go. But you'll still get that sense of movement in there, and I'm going to throw a lot more red down. So first, we get a nice big fat brush. These are cheap house painting brushes. And they're inexpensive enough that when you're through, you don't even have to clean them. You can just throw them away. Why am I holding this paper towel in my hand? Because you wipe and blend as you do this to get a nice little background. And we'll throw some more explosive stuff over the top. If you don't wipe it, then everything turns really muddy and the whole thing is neutral. And I am anything but neutral today. Most days. Ooh. So you can still see that movement. There are times when I'm really calm and peaceful, and I wouldn't want any of these strokes to show, but that's not today. Besides, this is all about experimenting, letting the canvas talk to you. I'm always imposing my will on the canvas, so it's really good to allow it to just tell you where to go. And they always tell you where to go, but it's a matter of whether you're listening or not, and whether you can take direction. Sometimes I'm better at that than others. Okay, I like that. You can still, oh, that's nice. That's mellow. It's still fiery, but it's got a softer edge to it. You know, instead of, well, before it was Grissom plugged in, and now it's kind of Grissom unplugged a little bit. It's still pretty plugged in. Okay. Now we get the knife out and throw some red over the top, and things will really start getting happy. Okay, now this part of the, you know, we keep going back to the music references here. This part of the show is, if you can picture a piece that was fast and lively, and now all of a sudden there's a lot of staccato. Let's just throw it out there. Woo! Like how that's happening. Like the sound that it's making. Even just scraping this stuff on the canvas has a nice little rhythm. Oh yeah, that's good. So you can still see this yellow underneath, which is good. I don't want to totally get lost in the red, but I am really red. Okay, I need more paint, a whole bunch of paint. Because I don't squeeze from the bottom, I just, you know, what happens is I don't care how I squeeze it out, I just get it out, and then you really should, because it's better to get it out. It's easier to get it out that way. But what happens is I squeeze it whatever way just to get it out, because I'm in the middle of doing it, don't want to be interrupted. And then periodically I'll have a little session which is kind of therapeutic, where I get the little tube wringer and straighten up my paint. And then they get messy again. Oh, that's good. I like that texture. I like that red. Okay, so we had a lot of stuff going this way, flowing in this way. I took one outside the other day and just took my brush and just threw a bunch of paint at it. It was great. I did it out on the lawn because I don't have to clean it up in the studio. Too much of this little rhythm here is not good, so I'm going to break that up. And you know, it's kind of like triplets in music, you know, da 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 da, that kind of thing. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, I'll throw in some more colors besides red, but I'm going to completely scribble all over this red. Okay, everything is going this way. I need to bring it back up. Bring that energy up. Woo. Scraping some of that off. How fun that is. Like that. Sometimes I move the canvas, especially when you're doing this, because if you have to stop here, it interrupts the flow. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to look like the brush or the knife had to hurry up and run away so that it didn't hit the end. I want to just do it. And this will also help me with the rhythm and bringing that back. Okay, that went that way, so this is going this way. And I also want to break that up, so it's not just linear. That was good. So it's starting to get some depth. Ooh, that's fun. Doesn't that look like fun? Did you ever just get a knife out there and just start scraping? Oh, that's good. We're getting close to metallic time. Time to put some metallic, and I think that's what's going to bring the light values back into the painting. I also want to throw in bits of green. I think I need the transparent green in order for that to show up, so I'm going to do that. If you get out there and do it, set the timer for an hour, which is about the time that we're doing here. And don't let anybody interrupt you. You could come up with something and put on some fast music. You could do something really frenzied and get some great energy in the painting. Or you could do something really slow and mellow too, whatever your sensibility is. But don't make it look like anything. I heard somebody say, why not? Because that's not what we're doing today. Okay. Looks like a twisted kind of happy face. I didn't want that, so I'm going to... What else? When things get wonky, add some more red. The gold's coming, I promise. And maybe some straight yellow with the knife. That might be hot. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's so good. Because it just shows. You need a lot more paint than I normally use anyway. Oops, that green's going to be bad. Bad green. Stay out of there. Okay, and now is not the time for transparent, so I'm going to get some cad yellow deep, go over the top of this. Even me, I'm tempted to do over the top of this with some a gold and make a flower and make it be something, but. When you paint representational and that's what you're into, that's very tempting. But it's nice to just let your spirit do it. Soar. Explode. That was a little too mustard and ketchup-y there. Nope. Just a little too much. Don't want this to look like a fast food. You know, that's kind of what it looks like. That would be fun. Get a ketchup bottle and a mustard bottle and start squirting paint out and see what happens. I think the thing I like the best about doing these is that it frees me up, and it always inspires me for no matter what I'm working on next. And I think if you look inside, if you look at the face I did, the study I did last month, and you look inside, if you really zoom in on certain areas, there are parts of her that are very, very abstract and squiggly. So there's not a lot of difference between certain areas of her face or even the background than what I'm doing right here. I was saying something about pop culture reference and CSI, and how they were talking about how a person does one thing is how a person is going to do all things. And that's true. You look at my abstracts, they're going to look like just a segment of the rest of my paintings. Okay, it's getting down to time enough in the show that we could start putting some gold down. And now it's just a matter of, do I want to use a knife or do I want to use a brush? I think a knife. I have to clear some room here. Boy, this palette's just all over the place. Okay. So let's see what happens with... Now this is a mixing knife that I'm using. It's not a painting knife, but I use it to paint with. And you know, it's one of those things where you can break the rules and use whatever knife is comfortable. Now I do have painting knives over here. But you know, I'm more organic, so I don't like these geometric edges. So I'm going to just use the one you're not supposed to use. Okay, let's try it. See this gold metallic. Oh yeah, see gold and red. I know they're like 49er colors, but I like them. Makes me happy. The trick is to put a stroke down and leave it, not second guess yourself. That is a trick too. You can't blend it too much or the gold gets lost. Need more of that. Let's try some of this lighter gold. Ooh. It's developing a pattern. I'm going to roll with that. And I blended away all that nice gold. I need to turn it again. Yep, more gold. I think I like this little bronzy gold too, better than the... Maybe I do need a wider knife. Let's see what would happen. This is an interesting shape. I did a whole painting with a 3-inch putty knife. That was wild. Yeah, that adds something different. Okay, so you've got rhythm going this way, rhythm going this way. We need something down here. That helped. That really did. Okay. Now, I want to just break this up. So I'm just going to scrape it there. Yeah, that's good. Starts to get really thick. I'm going to turn it. Keep that rhythm going. That was not a good stroke there. Okay, that's better. Now I need to play up this gold. How could I do that? I can add more paint, and I can also add a more neutral color there. Yeah, because right now they're just little islands. There's just not enough gold out there. And I just blended away all that nice gold that was there. So we will add some red to accent that where the gold already is. So let's just kind of we almost highlight each little gold thing. Making something happen. Okay, we got to have a center of interest. And I think the gold is just too scattered. So when all else fails, add some red. Because we've got just a few minutes left, and I want to make this a complete statement. Almost there. How about some bright red? Woo! Should have known, huh? Need some more dark red. Yeah. Still not a lot of value contrast, and that may just be where we're at. Okay, so I think what I'll do is put dark around the edges. Go back to this, not black hole thing, but more of a yellow hole thing that I was doing. Yeah, it's like framing this thing. Yep, that's working. I'm going to have to do one big stroke of gold at the end. We're framing this, but not an even frame. I don't want it to be too calculated. Break it up. Throw some of that green down. Whew, that was very lyrical. And it's all coming in closing. Basically, it's kind of a spiral into this center hole. So I need some sort of explosion right here, which will be the finale of the piece. Sometimes, when you really want to get into it, for the final thing, just squirt all the paint right there, right on the canvas. And I hope that next time you'll just be this free with it. Stick a blob and go. See you next time on Give Your Wall Some Soul.